Tuesday night, 9:47 p.m. The party is 6 blocks away. Your phone vibrates against the kitchen tile beside you with the third "Where are you?" text in 19 minutes. You are sitting on the floor with the overhead light off, your back against the cabinet under the sink, holding a glass of room temperature water with both hands, and for the first time in 11 years, you are not lying when you say you are exactly where you want to be. You don't answer the phone. You watch it light up. You watch it go dark. You watch the small green dot of the charging cable on the counter, the only other light in the room. And you notice that your breathing has slowed in a way it has never slowed in any of the rooms you have walked into across those 11 years. Your shoulders are not in your ears. Your jaw is not locked. Your hands are not performing the small, invisible work of being held by someone who is not there. You are 34 years old. Your name is Felix Morgan. You live in a 1-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of a building on Vincennes Street with cream-colored walls you painted yourself in a single Saturday in March. A reading chair that cost you $490 used. A bookshelf with 312 books on it, 81 of which you have actually read. And a cat named Otis, who is currently asleep on the rug 6 feet away, breathing in the slow, tidal rhythm that you have, over the last 18 months, learned to match without thinking about it. This is Wes Calder, and this is the story of how a man who spent his entire adult life believing that the door to his own apartment was the door to a smaller, lesser life, finally understood that it was the only door that had ever opened onto the actual one. You should know, before we go anywhere, that this is not a story about an introvert who finally found a self-help book. This is not a story about a man who quit his job and moved to a cabin and grew tomatoes. This is not a story about a recluse or a misanthrope or a hermit or any of the words that the world uses to make the act of being inside one's own life sound suspicious. Felix Morgan still has friends. Felix Morgan still goes outside. Felix Morgan still attends the birthday parties of the people who matter to him when he wants to, for as long as he wants to, and not 1 minute longer. The story is not about leaving the world. The story is about coming back to the room where the world finally became survivable. To understand the kitchen floor, we have to start 11 years earlier, in a different apartment, in a different city, with a different version of you, who would have read the first paragraph of this episode and rolled his eyes and said, with absolute certainty, that whoever is sitting alone on a Tuesday night with the lights off has lost. That whoever is not at the party is not where life is. That whoever closes the door has chosen a smaller existence. He believed that. He believed it the way a fish believes in water. He believed it so completely that he could not see it as a belief, only as the obvious shape of reality. And he believed it because he had been taught to believe it, by every advertisement, every movie, every social feed, every well-meaning aunt at every Thanksgiving dinner who asked, with that small pinch of concern, whether he was getting out enough. He was getting out enough. He was getting out, as it turned out, far too much, and it was killing him, in a way so slow and so socially approved that no one, including him, would notice until the math was no longer deniable. Let's start there. 11 years ago, Hartfield Street, the studio above the Korean grocery. You are 23 years old. The apartment is 341 square feet. The rent is $1,247 a month, which, in the city where you have just moved to take your first real job, qualifies as a steal. The window faces east. The radiator clangs at 5:42 a.m. every weekday morning, 2 minutes before the delivery trucks pull up to the grocery downstairs and start unloading crates of cabbage and napa and the white plastic tubs of kimchi that, by 6 a.m., will have begun to send their rich fermented smell up through the floorboards into your one and only room. You hate the smell at first. By month 4, you will not notice it. By month 10, you will miss it whenever you stay over at someone else's apartment. The smell of someone else's life always making something. the smell of a door that opened at 4 in the morning to a man named Mr. Park who, for 41 years, has unloaded cabbage in the dark before the city has remembered that it is a city. You don't think about Mr. Park yet. You barely see him. You are 23. You are in a hurry. You came to the city to do something. You can't quite name what, and the apartment is just the place you sleep between the somethings. The somethings in your first year are mostly this: work, then drinks, then more drinks, then a third place that someone at the second place mentioned, then a slice of pizza on a corner at 1:47 a.m., with 2 people whose names you will not remember by Sunday, then a cab home, then 6 hours of sleep that does not feel like sleep, then the radiator, then the trucks, then the smell, then the work again. You tell yourself this is what your 20s are supposed to look like. You have been told this since you were 17. The movies told you, the shows told you, the older cousins told you, at weddings, with that wistful look that older cousins get when they describe the years before children. __, quote, _to, __. You believe them. You believe them because you have no reason not to. You believe them because every Sunday, when you wake up at 1:14 p.m., with a headache that feels like a small animal trying to dig out of your skull, the friends you went out with the night before will text the group chat, and someone will say, quote, 3, and someone else will say, quote, 4, and you will type, quote, 5 with both thumbs. And then you will lie back and close your eyes and feel something. Some small, quiet, almost imperceptible thing that you do not have a name for, that you would not have a name for, that you will not have a name for almost 10 years. You feel a small subtraction. You feel like a part of you has been spent that will not regenerate by Tuesday. You feel like you have given something away in those rooms, some currency you did not know you had, and that the rate of return on the giving is somehow, mysteriously, less than what you put in. You don't know that yet. You don't think to ask. You think the headache is just the alcohol. You think the exhaustion is just the lateness. You think the small hollow under your sternum is just hunger. It is not just hunger. But the apartment, in those days, the apartment is a kind of failure. The apartment is what you have when you cannot be anywhere else. The apartment is what happens to you on the nights when no one texts back, when the plans fall through, when the friend who was supposed to meet you at the bar at 9 sends, at 8:47, the message that begins with __, quote, _6 __, and you know, before you read the rest, that you are about to be returned to your own room, and the return feels like a punishment. You sit on the futon, you look at the ceiling, you count the cracks. There are 11 of them. You scroll your phone. You see the people you would have been with, already at the bar, already at someone else's table, already in someone else's photograph, already laughing at something you cannot hear. And the room, your 341 square feet, your kimchi and radiator life, feels suddenly, unbearably, like proof that you have been left behind. You do not stay. You shower, you change, you go. You go even though you are tired. You go even though your body, if you had been listening, had been quietly making the case for the futon, the lamp, the takeout menu, the unwatched movie, the 8 hours of sleep that you have not had in 19 days. You go because the alternative, the room, alone, on a Friday, feels like an admission. An admission of what you could not have said. But the shape of it was clear. The shape of it was, if you are alone tonight, you are not enough. This is what you do not yet know. You do not yet know that this belief, this exact belief, this load-bearing wall of your psychology was installed in you so early and so consistently and by so many sources at once that you have never once questioned it. You believe that being out is being alive. You believe that being in is being dead, and you will spend the next 8 years of your life paying the interest on that belief in a currency you do not yet know you possess. You go. You always go. And the studio above the Korean grocery, with its 11 cracks in the ceiling and its kimchi-soaked walls and its radiator that knocks like a man trying to get in, becomes a place you visit between the places where you are actually living. A storage unit for your body, a charger for the next night. This is level 1. This is the start. This is the version of you that the rest of the story will, slowly and without mercy, take apart. 2 years pass. You are 25. You have moved. The studio is gone. You live now in a 1-bedroom on the 4th floor of a building in a neighborhood that, when you describe it to your parents on the phone, you describe with the small, false casualness of a man who knows the rent and is not going to say it. The rent is $2,410. You can almost afford it. You make it work by not eating lunch on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, which you tell yourself is, quote, 7, and which is, in fact, the budget. You have a job with a title now. Associate something. The card says it. You have business cards. You have a LinkedIn photo taken by a friend named Hollis on a rooftop at golden hour. You have a Patagonia nano puff jacket in 3 colors, black, navy, and a kind of forest green that, at the time, you believe communicates __quote _8 __, and you wear them in rotation across the 4 nights a week that you are now, reliably, out. 4 nights a week. Tuesday is industry drinks. Thursday is the standing thing at the place on Lorimer. Friday is whatever Hollis has put together. Saturday is the dinner that becomes the bar that becomes the after bar. Sunday, you recover. Monday, you reset. Wednesday is the only night you are home, and even Wednesdays, more often than not, you are answering texts from your bed about whether you can be talked into, quote, 9. You are not lame. You go. Your phone, by the end of your 25th year, contains 847 contacts. You can scroll for a full 40 seconds before you reach a name you cannot place. You meet a person on a Tuesday, and by Friday, you can introduce them to 4 other people they will be useful to. You are, in the language of the city, quote, 10. You are, in the language of your mother, quote, 11. And here is the trick. Here is the thing that the structure of these 8 years depends on. Here is what you cannot see. Because you are inside of it, and because everyone around you is inside of it with you, and because the system rewards you daily for staying inside of it. The reward is that everyone confirms it back to you. Your boss says you are, quote, 12. Your friends say you are, quote, 13. Your mother, on the phone, says with audible relief that she is so glad you are not, quote, 14. A woman you date for 6 weeks tells you, on the night she ends it, that the problem is not you. The problem is that you are, quote, 15. You hear that sentence. You file it. You do not understand it. You will understand it in 9 years, on a kitchen floor, with a glass of room temperature water. But tonight, at 25, you take it as a compliment that has been clumsily delivered. You think she is saying you are charming. She is saying you are a performance. You do not know the difference yet. You have never, in your entire adult life, been in a room alone for long enough to find out. This is level 2. The illusion. The years when the world told you that the way you were living was the way to live, and rewarded you so generously for believing it that the cost, and there is always a cost, the math always arrives, could be deferred to a future self you had not yet met. You meet him at 28. You are 28 years old. You are sitting on the edge of the bathtub in your apartment on a Sunday morning. It is 11:43 a.m. You came home at 4:18 a.m. You do not remember the cab. You remember the bar, and you remember a corner of a different bar, and you remember the slice of pizza, and there is a stretch of about 90 minutes between the pizza and the cab that has, for the 3rd time this year, simply gone missing. You are not hungover in the way you used to be hungover. You are something else. The headache is there, yes. The small animal in the skull is doing its work, yes. But underneath the headache, there is something newer, something quieter, something that does not have a name and that has been, you realize now, with the cold clarity of the bathroom tile under your bare feet, with you for somewhere between 4 and 6 months. It is a flinch, a small, full-body flinch that happens, you notice it now because you are paying attention, every single time your phone lights up. The phone is on the sink. It is face down. It has been face down for 2 hours, which is the longest it has been face down in approximately 3 years. It has buzzed 11 times. You have not picked it up. You have, instead, sat on the edge of the bathtub and watched the small square of sunlight on the floor move 2 inches to the left, and you have noticed, with a quiet horror, that the 2 inches of sunlight moving across your bathroom floor on a Sunday morning is the most peaceful thing that has happened to you in 19 days. You do the math in your head. Sitting there. Not the financial math. The financial math will come later. This is the smaller math. You count the nights in the last 6 weeks that you have been alone in your apartment for more than 3 consecutive waking hours. You count 2. One was the night you had a fever of 101.4 and physically could not stand up. The other was the night your power went out and the bar plans got canceled because no one could charge their phones to coordinate. 2 nights in 6 weeks, by force, not by choice. 42 days, and on 40 of them, you have, the moment you came home, immediately begun the small choreography of getting ready to leave again. The shower, the change, the cologne, the keys, the door, the cab. You sit on the bathtub. You feel the small, full-body flinch when the phone buzzes again. And you understand, for the first time, that you are afraid of your own apartment. You don't have language for it yet. You will not have language for it for another 3 years. But the shape is clear. The shape is, the room that was supposed to be the place you lived has become the place you cannot bear to be. The room is too quiet. The room asks too much. The room is the only place in the city where you cannot perform, and you have, somewhere in the 847 contacts and the 4 nights a week and the rotation of 3 Patagonia jackets, lost the ability to be in a room that does not require a performance. You stand up. You put on cologne. You answer the phone. This is level 3, the crack. The years when the math of the body and the math of the wallet both quietly began to outrun the math of the story you were telling yourself. The body math. Chronic insomnia by 26, recurring stomach issues by 27, the flinch by 28. A resting heart rate on your 1 annual physical that the doctor frowned at and asked, with the careful neutrality of a man trying not to lecture, whether you were getting any rest. The wallet math you are not yet doing. You will do it at 31. When you do it, it will end something. For now, at 28, you stand up from the bathtub. You leave the apartment. You meet the friends at the brunch place. You order the Eggs Benedict. You laugh at the right moments. You feel the flinch every time someone's phone goes off at the table. You go home at 2 p.m. You sleep until 6. You shower. You change. You go out again. The apartment behind you, dark and quiet, is patient. It has been patient for 5 years. It will be patient for 3 more. The room remembers what you bring to it. You are bringing nothing. The room is keeping count anyway. You are 31. It is a Saturday in October. It is Marcus Vale's 31st birthday party. Marcus Vale is your college roommate. Marcus Vale is, by the metrics that the world has taught both of you to track, winning. Marcus Vale is a marketing director at a firm whose name you have heard on a podcast. Marcus Vale makes, by his own casual disclosure 2 months ago at a different party, $240,000 a year. Marcus Vale has 4,200 Instagram followers. Marcus Vale, you realize, standing in the bathroom of the rooftop bar he has rented out for the night, has not been alone in his own apartment for more than 9 consecutive hours since the spring of 2019. You know this because, 20 minutes ago, in a corner near the bar, with 3 drinks in him and a 4th on the way, Marcus told you. He told you the way men tell each other things at 31, which is to say, as a joke. He laughed. He said, "Bro, I genuinely think if you put me in a room alone for a full day, I'd lose my mind." He laughed again. He clinked his glass against yours. He said, "That's why we have this." He waved at the rooftop, the string lights, the 80-something people, most of whom Marcus could not, if pressed, name. You laughed too. You clinked back. You said something that was supposed to be funny. And then you went to the bathroom, and you locked the door, and you stood in front of the mirror under the unkind fluorescent light that bathroom mirrors at rooftop bars always have, and you looked at yourself, and you saw, for the first time, with no possibility of looking away, the face of a man who had been performing for so long that the performance had begun, slowly, to eat the face underneath it. You are 31. There are small lines around your eyes that did not used to be there. Your jaw is locked. Your shoulders are in your ears. There is a tightness in the small muscles around your mouth, the muscles that produce the social smile, the one you have used 800,000 times, the one that has, you realize, calcified, that has not relaxed, you understand suddenly, in approximately 4 years. You stand in front of the mirror, and you do the math. You do the actual math. You do it the way Wes Calder does it, on a yellow legal pad, in a kitchen, at midnight. Except you are doing it in your head, in a bathroom, with 80 people on the other side of the door waiting for you to come back and be charming. 312 nights out last year. You count them. You can count them because your calendar still has them all. 312. An average of $38 per night, accounting for the cheap nights and the expensive nights and the rounds you bought because you were that guy. That is $11,856 out of an after-tax income of $71,000. 16.7% of every dollar you earned last year went to being in rooms with people whose names you would not, if asked tonight, be able to recall. 16.7% for 8 years. You do the bigger math. You do it fast and you do it badly, but you do it. Roughly $9,000 a year, conservatively, for 8 years. $72,000. If that money had been in an index fund, compounding from age 23 to age 31. You don't do the exact compound calculation in the bathroom. You will do it later, that night, on the laptop, alone in your apartment at 3:14 a.m. The number will be $114,612. You have spent $114,612 in inflation-adjusted opportunity cost terms on rooms. But that is not what breaks. The money is not what breaks. The money is just the number that lets you see the shape. What breaks is this. Standing in front of the mirror, you do the other count, the count you have never let yourself do. You count the conversations from those 312 nights that you can actually remember, not __quote _20 _ remember. Remember a sentence. Remember a thing someone said that changed something in you. Remember a moment of contact. You count 0. You stand there. The fluorescent light hums. Someone knocks on the door. You say __quote _21 _ in the voice that is not your voice, the voice you have been using for so long that you have forgotten you have another one, and the someone goes away. You sit down on the closed toilet lid. You put your hands on your knees, and you understand, for the first time, what the woman at 25 was telling you when she said you were, quote, 22. She was not insulting you. She was grieving you. She was telling you, in the only words she had, that there was no one in the room with her, even when you were in the room with her. Because the man she was looking at had not been alone with himself for so long that there was no self left to bring. The room remembers what you bring to it. You have not been bringing anything. to any room. For 8 years. This is level 4. The math. The break. The moment something that you did not know was load-bearing comes down inside your chest, in a fluorescent-lit bathroom, while a marketing director who makes $240,000 a year laughs about how he would lose his mind if you left him alone for a day. You leave the party at 11:08 p.m. You do not say goodbye to Marcus. You will text him the next morning. He will text back __quote _23 ____. He will not, you realize, have noticed. You take a cab home. The driver does not speak. You do not speak. You watch the city move past the window, and the city, for the first time in 8 years, looks not like a stage, but like a place where actual people live actual lives behind actual doors that they actually close at the end of the actual day. You get to your apartment. You unlock the door. You walk in. You do not turn on the overhead light. You sit on the floor, in the entryway, with your back against the door you just closed, and you do not move for 47 minutes. The apartment around you is patient. The apartment has been waiting 8 years. The apartment does not say anything. The apartment does what apartments do, which is to hold the shape of whoever is willing to be inside it. You are, finally, willing. It is the worst night of your life. It is also, you will understand much later, the first real night. The year between 31 and 32 is the longest year. It is the year of level 5. It is the year of waiting. You do not, the morning after Marcus's birthday, become a new person. The story is not that clean. The story is never that clean, and if anyone tells you the story is that clean, they are selling you something, and the thing they are selling you is the same thing that put you on the bathroom floor of the rooftop bar in the first place. What happens instead is that you keep going out. You keep saying yes. You keep showing up to the standing Thursday thing at the place on Lorimer. You keep rotating the 3 Patagonia jackets. But something has shifted, very slightly, in the way your body holds itself in those rooms. And the shift is this. You can feel the cost now, in real time, as it is being paid. You feel it on a Thursday in November, when you are standing at the bar, and a man you have known for 6 years leans in to tell you a story about his weekend, and you realize, halfway through the story, that you do not care. You do not care about the story. You do not care, you understand with a cold, sudden clarity, about the man telling it. You have been carrying this man at a low metabolic cost for 6 years, and the carrying has been free only because you have not, until tonight, let yourself notice that you were carrying him. You feel it on a Saturday in January, when you cancel on a dinner for the first time in your adult life with no excuse, no fake illness, no fake work emergency, no fake family thing, and you simply text the group, "Going to skip tonight, see you next week." And you put the phone down, and you do not pick it up, and the text replies come, and you do not open them, and the world, you discover with a kind of slow disbelief, does not end. You feel it on a Tuesday in March, when you sit on the floor of your living room, the same living room where you have now calculated, an average of 112 waking minutes per week for the last 3 years. And you look at the room as if for the first time. The cream walls, the single window, the chair that needs reupholstering. The bookshelf with the books you bought because you wanted to be the kind of person who had read them, and which you have, in fact, never opened. You take a book off the shelf. You sit in the chair. You read 40 pages. You realize, when you put the book down, that your jaw has unlocked, that your shoulders are not in your ears, that the small muscles around your mouth, the social smile muscles, the calcified ones, are low it, decline most invitations. You decline some. You go to the ones that matter. You leave them earlier than you used to. You come home and the apartment is there, and the apartment does not punish you for being late, and the apartment does not text you, "Where are you?" And the apartment, you realize, has never once in 8 years asked you to be anyone other than exactly who you are. This is the year of waiting. You are not yet free. You are simply, for the first time, present at the scene of your own life. You are 33. It is a Wednesday in June. It is 6:47 p.m. A friend named Caleb has texted 20 minutes ago, asking if you want to meet at the place on Atlantic at 8. You sit on the edge of your bed. You hold the phone. You feel, in your body, the old reflex, the shower, the change, the cologne, the keys, the door, the cab. The reflex is still there. The reflex will, you suspect, always be there. The reflex was installed too early and too deeply ever to be fully removed. But underneath the reflex, there is something else now. There is a question. The question is small, and the question is new, and the question is the question that the version of you at 23, in the studio above the Korean grocery, was constitutionally incapable of asking. The question is, do you actually want to go? You sit with the question. You give it a full minute. You do not, the way you used to, answer it before it has finished forming. You let the question stand in the room with you. You notice your body. Your shoulders are heavy. Your eyes are tired. You ate dinner an hour ago. There is a book on the side table, open to page 141, and you are, you realize, genuinely curious about page 142. You type the message. You type it in one go, without rehearsing it, without softening it, without inventing a reason. You type, "Going to stay in tonight, have a good one." You send it. You put the phone face down on the bed. You stand up. You walk to the chair. You pick up the book. You read. For 2 hours. The phone on the bed lights up twice. You do not check it. The room around you is quiet. The lamp is on. The cat, Otis, who you adopted in February, who is the first living being who has ever lived in this apartment with you, is on the rug, breathing in his slow, tidal rhythm. At 9:14 p.m., you put the book down. You make tea. You stand at the kitchen counter with the mug in your hands. You look out the window at the lit windows of the building across the street, and you understand, with no fanfare, with no music, with none of the dramatic interior soundtrack that the movies promised you would accompany the important moments of your life, that you have just done a thing you have not done in 11 years. You have stayed home on a night when you could have gone out because you wanted to. Not because you were sick, not because the plans fell through, not because no one invited you. You were invited. You declined. You are home. You are home on purpose. The grief comes later, around 10:30 p.m., when you are brushing your teeth. It is small. It is quiet. It is the grief for the version of you who, for 11 years, was so afraid of this room that he spent $114,000 and 8 years of his nervous system trying to never have to be in it. You stand at the sink. You look at the mirror. The fluorescent light is gentler here than at the rooftop bar. The face in the mirror is older. The face in the mirror is also, for the first time in a long time, recognizably yours. You spit. You rinse. You go to bed. You sleep 9 hours. This is level 6, the release. It does not look like anything from the outside. It looks like a man texting, "Going to stay in tonight." It looks like a kettle. It looks like a book. It looks like a cat on a rug. From the inside, it is the largest thing that has ever happened to you. You are 34. It is the Tuesday night we started with. It is 9:47 p.m. You are on the kitchen floor. The party is 6 blocks away. The party is at a place you used to love. The party is full of people you used to know, some of whom you still know, some of whom you have, deliberately and without ceremony, let drift over the last 18 months, the way a man clears a desk by simply, finally, no longer adding to it. The phone vibrates. The fourth "Where are you?" text. You read it. You do not answer. You look around the kitchen, the kettle on the counter, the single dish in the sink, The drawing on the fridge that your niece, who is 6, made for you in March, of a man and a cat sitting in a chair. The cream walls you painted yourself. The hum of the refrigerator. The sound of a neighbor 2 floors up playing piano, badly and beautifully. The way people play piano when they are practicing for no audience. You sit with the glass of water. You feel in your body the absence of the flinch. The flinch is gone. The flinch left, you realize, somewhere in the last year, and you did not notice the day it left, because the things that leave us quietly are the things that were never supposed to be there in the first place. You think about Marcus Vale. You have not seen Marcus in 14 months. You heard, through Hollis, that Marcus is in therapy now. That Marcus has, for the first time in his adult life, taken a Saturday with no plans. That Marcus, 2 weeks ago, ate dinner alone in his apartment and called Hollis afterward and said, with audible bewilderment, "I think I might be okay." You think about the studio above the Korean grocery, about Mr. Park unloading cabbage at 4 in the morning for 41 years in the dark. You understand now, in a way you could not have understood at 23, that Mr. Park was not living a smaller life because he was not at the bar. Mr. Park was living a life. The bar was where you went to forget that you were not yet living one. You think about the woman at 25 who told you that you were always so on. You hope she is somewhere tonight in a quiet room with a person who is not performing. You hope for her that the room is warm. You think about what you would say to the version of you at 23 if you could sit on the futon next to him in the studio at 8:47 p.m. on a Friday night when the plans had fallen through and the room felt like a punishment and the phone felt like a verdict. You would not tell him to stay home. You would not tell him to go out. You would tell him this: the room is not the problem. The room has never been the problem. The problem is that you have been taught to be afraid of the only place where you actually live. And every night you spend running from this room, you are running from the only person you will ever, in the end, have to come home to. The room remembers what you bring to it. You have spent 11 years bringing nothing. The room has been keeping count. The room is not angry. The room has been, the entire time, holding your seat. You sit on the kitchen floor. The phone goes dark for the last time. The party, 6 blocks away, continues without you, the way parties always do, the way parties are supposed to. Otis walks into the kitchen. He looks at you. He does not understand why you are on the floor. He sits down anyway, 2 feet from you, and begins, quietly, to clean a paw. You watch him. You drink the water. You feel in your chest the slow tidal rhythm that you spent a decade trying to outrun, and that has, finally, caught up with you. In a kitchen, on a Tuesday night, with a cat and a glass of water, and a piano playing badly 2 floors up. This is level 7, the truth. Here is what you would want to know at 23 on the futon in the studio above the Korean grocery on the Friday night when the plans fell through and the room felt like a verdict. You would want to know that the room was never the verdict. The verdict was somewhere else. The verdict was in the 847 contacts you would acquire to prove that you were not alone. The verdict was in the rotation of 3 Patagonia jackets you would wear to be legible to people whose names you would forget. The verdict was in the 16.7% of every dollar you would spend for 8 years on rooms whose only purpose was to keep you out of the one room where you actually lived. You would want to know that the woman at 25 who told you that you were always so on was the closest anyone came in 11 years to handing you the key. You would want to know that Marcus Vale, on a rooftop, in the bathroom of his own birthday, was, at the moment he laughed about losing his mind in a room alone, telling the most accidentally honest sentence of his adult life, and that you, 8 months later, would be the only person at the party who heard it. You would want to know that solitude is not the absence of the world. Solitude is the room where the world becomes survivable. Solitude is where the day is metabolized, where the self is rebuilt, where the small, calcified social smile muscles around your mouth are allowed, finally, to relax. Loneliness is what happens when you cannot be alone. Solitude is what happens when you can. And the difference between them is not the room. The difference is what you bring to it. The room remembers what you bring to it. You bring, now, a self. A small one, a rusty one. A self that gets restless after 20 minutes and reaches for the phone and loses the thread and has to come back. But a self. The first self that has lived in any of your apartments since you were 23. The phone goes dark on the floor beside you. You do not pick it up. Otis finishes cleaning his paw. The piano 2 floors up moves into a passage the player cannot quite manage and tries it again and tries it again and gets it almost right on the 3rd try. You stand up. You put the glass in the sink. You walk to the chair. You pick up the book that is now, on its 2nd time through the bookshelf, the one you are actually reading. You sit down. You read. The party, 6 blocks away, ends at 1:47 a.m. You will not know this. You will be asleep by 11:14 on the right side of the bed with the lamp off with Otis at your feet in a room that has, for the first time in 11 years, the right number of people in it, which is 1, which is you, which is, it turns out, exactly enough. On Restore, Wes Calder.